Did you do anything a little bit different over the bye weekend?
No, we had a lot of things to work on clearly after the result round 2. So I think if we'd been, we looked at the fixture when it first came out at the start of the year, we probably thought the bye round 3 was less than ideal. You know, effectively you have a bye before the season starts. You have a weekend off there, and then only to play 2 games, and then another bye we thought was less than ideal. But in actual fact, after that round 2 performance, we clearly had a lot of things to work on, and the last 2 weeks has given us an opportunity to train pretty hard and work on rectifying some of those deficiencies.
Travelling to Perth twice within 4 rounds, is the bye something that would help with that, having that going into this round?
Yeah, it's really not too much of an issue for us because we had a week off before round 1 when we went to Perth, and we had a week off this week before going back to Perth. So, we don't see that as an issue, and if anything, having the 2 Perth games out of the way in the first month, could be looked at as a good thing. We've got some home games to follow.
It's early days with the bye, but there seems to be some project progress. Hasn't worked for Gold Coast, certainly hasn't worked for Adelaide last week. Do you see anything in that, or do you think it's just up to individual clubs to deal with it best they can and come out and be switched on afterwards?
Oh no, it's each individual club, and it's at the stage you're at in the season. I think ideally we thought that, well, on face value, your buys would be ideal probably around round 8, round 16. To break them up as much as possible, and they're probably the stages when you're looking for a bit of a break in the season. But not every club can have their buys then. But so at the start of the year we thought it was less than ideal, but it's given us a chance the last 2 weeks to really go back, assess some things that came out of the Collingwood game, and really look to improve. And it's been a good 2 weeks on the track, and but we've got to let our actions do the talking. We've trained well on the track, but that's not going to count for anything unless we perform well on Sunday.
You spoke about the challenge before the Collingwood game. It's not going to be any less a challenge this week going to Perth. The Doctors are in good form as well.
Yeah, they're in terrific form. They were outstanding against Adelaide last week, and they could have quite easily got over the top of Geelong as well, and have been sitting on the top of the ladder with 3 wins on the board to this stage. So, they're in really good form. Their good players are playing really well, and it's the trips to Subiaco are a little bit like they used to be, going back to being really tough games to win over there. So, it's going to be a big challenge for us. But if we're going to get to where we want to go, we've got to win those games, and those games in hostile environments.
Have you made a statement at the selection table? Have you made many changes for the round 2?
No, the only changes we've made is to add 3 players to our squad. That was the 22 that played Collingwood. So we'll name a 25 tonight, and the 22 who played against Collingwood will be in that. So we're backing the players that weren't able to get the job done against Collingwood. That we've had 2 weeks to improve on the track, and we'll give them the opportunity to go out there and see what they can do against Fremantle.
You mentioned it's been a good couple of weeks on the track. It felt like a long couple of weeks. I'm sure the players probably wanted to get out there the next day and rectify what happened against Collingwood. Yeah, they did. Proud players have pride in their performance, so they wanted to get out and atone for that. But we've been able to train really hard, so the players have really focused really well, and it seems like a long time since we played, but the players will be well prepared, and the last 2 weeks on the track will mean nothing unless we get out and play well.
What specific areas, Brad, did you work on over the last 2 weeks?
Oh, just the general fundamentals of footy. Fremantle have been very strong in certain areas, and in the first 2 games that we've played, we've been beaten pretty badly around the ball. So we went back and worked on some just genuine fundamentals of footy. How to win the ball in a contest and how to use it effectively when you've got it. So there was nothing too scientific about it. It was just going back to the fundamentals of the game and making sure we were doing them really well.
How much did you take out of the win over them last year, late in the season?
Not a great deal, because they had a really good win against us earlier in the year over in Perth. So it was 1-1 last year, and one at their home venue, one at ours. So we didn't take anything out of that one.
Another trip to Perth and another challenge in the ruck. Do you go in with just one, or do you consider adding Pedersen to the mix again?
No, Pedersen will be in our squad. That's a really well, there's no bigger ruck challenge really in the game than Aaron Sandilands. He's a terrific player, and we've I've watched him play for a long period of time now, and I haven't seen a formula that works consistently against him. So, as coaches in the AFL, I think we're all trying to come up with a system that can counter him, because he's a very dominant player, and he's the premier ruckman in the competition. So, a lot of responsibility will fall to Todd Goldstein, but we'll certainly add Pedersen to our squad to have a look at that matchup.
Has Brent Harvey put any extra pressure on himself by making those comments a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, not at all. Look, Boom is an extremely highly regarded captain within our footy club, so he's always got enormous pressure on him to perform, and over his 300 game career, he's responded to that pretty well. So this week will be no different.
Have there been any repercussions from those comments in regards to group unity?
No.
Nothing at all. At the time of the comments, were the players, did they have to express any disappointment?
Brent's held in the highest regard possible at this football club, so absolutely no repercussions.
What about Hanson and Wright? How have they been over the couple of weeks?
Yeah, they've trained really well. They're like the whole squad. They've trained well, and they're looking forward to the challenge. So that they know that they're an important part of our squad, and they're going to be important players for our future. So they're looking forward to it as every other player on our list.
Did you agree with Brent though that it's time for some of those players to step up, or are you happy with the way the graph's shaping for those younger players?
Oh, look, I've constantly said that the fact is we're a young side, but we're a very capable side as well. We haven't shown that to this point, but I've constantly said that the facts say that we're young. I think we're capable, and we've all got to stand up and show that as a group. Now, we haven't been able to prove that to the football world to this point. So we all know we've got to improve, and we're working really hard on that.
How big is this game for you guys? I mean, Zip 3 is a long way back when you've got aspirations for finals footy. Yeah, it is. I mean, every game's a big one, though. I mean, there aren't any, other than the bye, there aren't any easy weeks in footy, in modern football. So it's going to be a tough game for us, and every game is. And we're well prepared, so we've just got to go out there and execute. There's not too much we can say, because it's going to mean nothing unless we perform.
What did you make of Dennis Payton's comments this morning?
Oh, look, just simply that, I read the comments like anyone else, but, coaches coach, players play, and administrators administrate. We all do our jobs, and my job's to coach. So there's nothing I can say on that.
Do you draw anything from last year's, I suppose after last year's St Kilda game, your ability to bounce back from that, bro?
Yeah, a little bit. I think that's been a hallmark of this football club over a long period of time, that we've always been able to bounce back. But there's no point talking about that. I've repeatedly said in here that we've got to perform. So we can talk about it all we want, but we've got to go out and do it.
Notice Fremantle's put a media ban on their players this week. Does that tell you anything as an opposition coach about sort of their mindset for this week or anything like that?
Fremantle put a media ban on their players. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. I heard that we put a media ban on our players. I noticed that Harves had mentioned that. I mean, Julian, that you spoke to one of our players this week, and Todd Goldstein was on 6PR radio in Perth last night, so Harves obviously didn't hear that. And Aaron Edwards and Jack Zeeble were talking to Fox Sports again today, so we certainly don't have a media ban on our players, but I'm not sure about Fremantle.
Sorry, I got that the wrong way around. He was saying that you guys had a media ban.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't listen to 6PR or watch Fox Sports.
Is he maybe trying to be a bit mischievous? He had a press conference earlier today, and he said that he's noticed some very close similarities between North Melbourne and Geelong, obviously where your brother is after they played Geelong, and
really?
Game style and setups and stuff like that. He was alluding to that in the press conference today.
I wouldn't mind their win-loss record right at the moment, so that's a similarity I'd like, but I don't know where he's coming from there. We've got very different players.
Joe Watson was saying on the radio after meeting with the AFL, he's sort of changed his stance a little bit on the sub rule. Having seen it in action for 3 weeks now, have you got any different views on how it's working and the effect it's going to have?
No, I think it's going to evolve throughout the year. I think we're going to see different scenarios. I think it's had its moments where it's worked really well, where players have been injured early in games and it hasn't disadvantaged that side because they've been able to activate a sub. The challenge is going to be when that day is coming when a player's going to be subbed, and then that team is going to get more injuries, and then that's really going to disadvantage you. So I'm like most others. I think we need more time to have a look at it before we make any definitive judgments. My only stance on it at the start of the year is I would have liked to have seen it trialled rather than trialling it in season. Okay, thanks guys, cheers.